Hello and welcome. I'm Jean Westrick, Director of Civic Engagement and Partnerships here at the Chicago Community Trust, and thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to have you participating as a host in this year's On the Table, which is our fifth On the Table on May 8th this year. For those of you who are returning hosts from last year, welcome back, and we hope that this session will be a great refresher for you. And we're also glad to have so many new hosts this year, and we know that today's session will help you feel more comfortable and more confident in that role. So thank you so much for joining us. Joining me in presenting today is Carla Bailey, and Carla is with Jaskulka Terman Strategic Communications. JT has been part of the On the Table team since the beginning, 5 years, and Carla has been coordinating outreach and logistics for On the Table for 5 years, and she's got a lot of great insights, and she can help provide that to you as we go forward. After a short overview about On the Table, we want to respond to your questions that you're submitting via the chat function. So please do type in those questions, and we will be responding to those later on in this webinar. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Feel free to introduce yourself by using the chat function, and one thing I would love to hear is what topics you're planning to cover during your On the Table event. So if you could all find the chat function on the webinar and just share your name and any really interesting information about your conversation, where it's going to take place, what topics you want to cover, etc. Thank you so much. So today's agenda, we want to cover about On the Table. We want to give you an overview of the host guide and some facilitation tips and what you should do on social media. And then we also want to talk about what's happening after the event and be able to answer any questions you have. So please do use that chat function. Are people using the chat function? Yes. Not yet? Okay, well, Tom Pfluger, can you give it a try and show people what that looks like? Awesome. Does everybody see the chat function? Wonderful. Hi, Kiara from Urban Alliance. Wonderful. Well, so let's go ahead and get started with our agenda. So On the Table is an annual forum really designed to elevate civic conversation, to foster new relationships, and to create an experience, a unifying experience across our region. I liken it to a civic holiday of sorts, where people are gathering in boardrooms, in classrooms, in church basements, having those small groups share a meal and discuss the challenges and opportunities we face as a community. On the Table is a way to channel these important conversations and then use that moment to really inspire more civic action. By participating in this year's On the Table event, you're going to be part of something really special. Throughout the region, residents like you will be coming together and having those conversations about how we can make our community safer, stronger, and more dynamic. So one of the things that we've heard time and time again from folks who participated in On the Table is that we all need to collaborate more, to have a deeper commitment to our community, and we need more people coming together and engaging in that civic space. That's what On the Table really is all about, and we hope that these conversations are the stepping stone to greater civic action that can help push forward the issues, the ideas, and the concerns that you are already engaged in and committed to. So we hope that they do support more common good. And to help you lead really impactful conversations, I'm going to pass the baton to my friend Carla here, who's going to talk about that.
Thanks, Jean. On this slide, we have some materials that are available on the On the Table website, which is www.onthetable.com. So if you visit the website, you'll notice that on the host page, we have several of these guides available. We have a conversation and action guide, which has information about gathering your guests, leading your conversation, and determining what happens next. We have some guest lists and sign-in sheets that you can print off and use to gather your participants' contact information at your On the Table event. And when your event has concluded, we would love for you to share this list with us by taking a photo and emailing it to us at onthetable@cct.org. The Facebook group is also another place that you can collaborate with hosts. On this page, members are encouraged to share information, tips, insights, photos, and stories about their On the Table events. And it's also a place that you can post your On the Table event if it's open to the public. On the host page on the website, we also have available for download a questions, prompts, and conversations guideline, as well as an after the table guide and a take action worksheet that you can use at the end of your conversation to help take notes on who's doing what next. Like I mentioned, all of these are available at www.onthetable.com/host.
Thank you, Carla. And just to reiterate, we have guides that are also available for students and teachers that can be used in a classroom, and also a facilitation guide that can be used around the family dinner table. So really do check out those resources and think about how you can have a really impactful, intentional conversation about community as part of that larger dialogue. So as you're having these conversations, we really want you to think about them, the conversation as a journey, and really do welcome every idea and stories as part of that experience. On the Table, really, these are meant to be intimate conversations to provide an opportunity for all the participants to reflect on what we value most, and to really consider what is important to our community. If you're having a really large event, I would recommend actually breaking the group into smaller tables so that everyone has an opportunity to talk. And so one thing when you get started is first, introduce yourself, share a little bit about yourself, your name, your background, and why you became a host. You really are the driving force about your event, and so to really share your passion and what concerns that brought you to the table. And then I would recommend that you invite your guests to introduce themselves and share their thoughts on the community. And one thing I recommend is actually to ask people to reflect on a positive aspect of their community. What makes it special? What can we do to create a more unified community? We really want these conversations to be proactive, positive, forward-thinking. And so we've compiled a list of conversation prompts to really get at the heart of what On the Table is all about, that can help move the conversation forward in a forward-thinking way. These are some things to consider. These are just a stepping off point. Each and every one of you brings your own experiences, your own expertise to that table, and that is going to help really drive your conversation forward. But you can start out by asking people what brought them to the table, what are their hopes, what are the positive qualities or characteristics of your community, and how can we leverage those positive attributes to really propel your community forward. Then really sort of thinking about how you want to pivot that conversation from focusing on the assets of your community into what you can do individually or collectively to address the most pressing needs. One thing that we've recommended is to focus on a problem facing your community and think about how you might solve it. And then reflect upon, what is one next step that you can take as individuals or as a table based upon the conversation. That'll help move this conversation forward in a positive way.
So I have just, we have some do's and don'ts that we put together, and of course these are just a starting point. You can obviously add to these as well, but we do want to encourage everyone to participate. Everyone should feel included as much or as little as they'd like to participate, but we definitely want everyone to have a voice. Do invite guests to follow up and expand on ideas. Do share your photos, videos, and stories on Twitter and Facebook, and we're using the hashtag OnTheTable2018. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at onthetable@cct.org. For the don'ts, we have a couple bullet points. Don't micromanage the conversation. You really want to let it flow freely and see where it goes. Don't be judgmental or dismissive of any person's comments or ideas. Don't promote argument or unproductive debate. And don't be afraid, like I said before, to ask if you have any questions on Tuesday, May 8th. We also have laid out some ground rules, and we've shared some general rules just for your conversation. And like I mentioned, these are just a starting point. You can always add your own, but be respectful, listen to understand, be supportive, know that it's okay to disagree, and if you don't want to share, it's okay.
So for the past 3 years, the On the Table hashtag has been a top trend in Chicago on Twitter. And it is also a really great way for people to share what they're talking about and what they care about. And so we hope that you will help be part of that conversation online by sharing your ideas, sharing photos, videos, any sort of comments or ideas that you have on social media. So you can do that on Twitter, and connect with the Trust at ShyTrust is our Twitter hashtag. And we're also available on Facebook at the Chicago Community Trust. And make sure you use the hashtag OnTheTable2018. One thing you'll notice with the hashtag here is there is capital letters on each of those words. We like to encourage people to use what is called camel caps in the social media sphere, because it does make it a little bit more readable. So go ahead and use those hashtags OnTheTable2018 and Your Voice Matters, which has become the tagline for On the Table over the past 5 years. And make sure you tag the Trust. We do want to hear what you are listening, what you're talking about. It's really another way for us to connect. So after the event, we're asking you to share those experiences like Jean mentioned by posting photos, videos, and comments through social media channels, of course, using the hashtag. After you've registered, and only if you've registered, you'll receive a short email survey so we can learn more about your experiences and ideas. And we really do want to see what you're doing at the event, so sharing all that information through the social media channels is really helpful for us here as well to see what everybody's doing on the day. And just a little bit more about the survey. I'm going to kick it back to Jean. Thank you. So what's really fantastic is that On the Table has provided this great opportunity for us to listen and learn from you about the issues, the themes that are important to you and your community. And that really does impact our work, and it also helps us to listen to what is the community talking about, and where there might be opportunities for more community engagement and collaboration. One thing that is a little different this year is that we have partnered with a new evaluation firm so that we can provide that feedback even quicker. And so we've got 2 research partners, Hart Research and Public Opinion Strategies. And what's interesting about this year's survey is it's not so much about your On the Table experience, though there are questions about that. We really want to know about your experience living in Chicago. And your participation in this survey is so important. But what's great about this survey this year is that you don't necessarily have to have participated in On the Table in order to be part of that survey and make your voice heard. So we hope that you will take the survey as a host and you'll spread that to your participants, but spread that to your networks, you know, writ large, because we really do want to hear about what the community is valuing and what they're concerned about, and the ways in which they're already engaged in their community. So you can access the survey on the On the Table website, so onthetable.com. You can also, you know, send a text message for the survey to get a survey link, and you can also get the survey via email if you've registered. So please do spread the word about that survey to your network. One important thing about registering your conversation is that any participant, and I will underscore this, any participant, so individuals, groups of folks, as well as nonprofits, can apply for an Acting Up Award. And what is fantastic about this year is that we are adding even more resources to the Acting Up Fund, and we have added a $5,000 Acting Up Award this year. So we have more resources to get out to work in the community. I love the Acting Up Project. The Acting Up Award is really, really a great way to get small dollars to do really tangible projects in community, and it's really easy to apply. All you have to do is, after On the Table, you have to create a 2-minute or less video talking about what your idea is, how it works, why is it important, and what's the potential impact. Really sort of short. Turn your cell phone on yourself and record that 2-minute video. And then you'll be able to go to onthetable.com to submit your video on May 9th up until May 25th. And those videos will be reviewed by a community of reviewers who will review and make recommendations for those winners. We're hoping to give out more than 50 awards this year, and that pool is continuing to grow, so there may be even more awards than 50, but we want to make 50 projects happen as a result of this. But you must register to host a conversation as part of On the Table in order to be eligible. So to help you think about how to leverage your On the Table conversation into action and to be prepared for Acting Up, we do want to let you know that there are going to be some Acting Up help sessions to really help you record your video, upload it to YouTube, and make that application really simple. And so these Acting Up sessions will be held in a variety of locations from May 10th through May 23rd at some libraries across the city. And you'll be able to get signed up to those through the Facebook group. If you are not already part of our Facebook group, please do join us. We've got 250 members who have joined the Facebook group, and folks are sharing information about their events. They're connecting with people if they've got events that are hosted that are open. They're sharing ideas, they're sharing tips, they're sharing resources, and it's a great way to connect to other engaged residents who are doing fantastic things in Chicago. So we're about to wrap up with the formal presentation here, but we really do want to thank you for being part of this initiative. And we're so glad that you have come to the table and you're part of this conversation. It's so very important. If you have questions or concerns after today's webinar, please feel free to reach out to us through our website at onthetable.com or via email at onthetable@cct.org. Or you can call us and leave us a voicemail message at 866-737-6959. And that On the Table Chicago Facebook group is another great way to connect with us. So with that, I'm going to actually open it up for questions. So please feel free to submit your questions via Zoom.
Do you want to go ahead and
Can I read them?
yeah, you can talk about
Okay.
Kiara's. I already answered it, but you can add more.
Okay. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. I'm like looking at the Zoom here. So Kiara asked, is there a list of on the table website that shows the 2018 hosts? We don't have a list of all the hosts. However, we do have that Facebook group where hosts are really listing their events. And so if you want to go ahead and join that, you go to Facebook and search for On the Table Chicago, and you'll be able to actually connect with that. And it's a really active group. So there's a question here from Michael, who has, will there be kits mailed to participants this year? Excellent question. So thank you so much for that question, Michael. And I just wanted to reiterate the fact that this year we really do want people to have intentional conversations, and we want to support action coming out of On the Table. So we actually made a strategic decision this year to make the resources available digitally and to channel the money that we would normally spend on printed host kits into the Acting Up pool. So the hope is that we will give out more than $150,000 in that pool to support activities coming out of On the Table through the Acting Up Awards. But you can get all of the materials online at the onthetable.com site. Okay, so I've got a question from Arlene, who asks, she asked about how to do hashtags, etc. What do you suggest? So Arlene and others, use the hashtags like you would in normal conversation. So you can write like you would normally say, I'm excited to attend my hashtag On the Table 2018 conversation today. You could tag a picture, post a picture of your group and tag and say, this is my hashtag On the Table 2018 table. Whatever you want, just make it feel really natural to you.
Yeah, and Arlene, if you want to email us any photos that you have taken during the day, that's another option for you as well. Or even just send us a paragraph about what you talked about and, any conversation points that were worth mentioning. We're happy to read everything that comes through to that email onthetable@cct.org.
Rob had asked, he joined this webinar a little late, and he wants to know if these slides are going to be available. Yes, we're actually making a recording of this, and we'll be captioning it this afternoon, and hope to have that available no later than tomorrow. And you'll be able to get this webinar at the onthetable.com website. So Earth Angels, cool name, how to create a flyer for the On the Table. You can create your own flyer, and we actually, on our resource page, you can download the logos with the On the Table art if you want to put that on your flyer. So are the Library Acting Up Award dates okay, so the help sessions at the library are to help people who may not know how to upload a video to YouTube, who may need some help recording a video, who may want to ask questions about what makes a compelling, quick way to tell your story. We have some prompts that will be available on the Table website, and you can literally just answer those questions with your smartphone turned on yourself, like a selfie, And then folks at those help sessions at the libraries will help you upload it if you need help. If not, there will be resources at the onthetable.com website with instructions for how you do that. So I don't see any more questions popping up. Oh, here's one right here. I'm volunteering as a facilitator at my local library. They don't have a specific discussion theme. Do you recommend trying to develop a theme or leaving it open? So Libby and anyone who's interested, you can have a conversation as focused or as open as you like. It depends on what you want to get out of the conversation. Do you want to meet new people and you want to just use that as an opportunity to build those relationships? Is there a particular issue or a theme that you're interested in and you want to help guide the conversation to talk about a specific topic? You can do that too.
Can you go back to the
Mm-hmm. So is it possible to submit an acting up request for an existing program? Great question, Kiara. No. On the table conversations, we hope, will generate ideas that are new ideas, new solutions to issues and opportunities in your community. And so the Acting Up Award should be for new projects. Arlene asks, please repeat when the award submission happens. So May 9th, the portal will open. You can submit your videos on May 9th, and it will close on May 25th, which is the Friday before the Memorial Day weekend. Is there a session on Thursday on Facebook? So we've just got the help sessions on the screen right now. And you'll see Thursday, May 10th, there is going to be a session at the Harold Washington Library in the Loop at 400 South State.
North. Yeah, Edgewater, it looks like there's also a Thursday as well.
I believe he's asking about the Q&A session this Thursday for Facebook hosts.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what you're asking about.
Oh, so folks who couldn't make this webinar and don't want to watch it online or want to have another conversation with us, we're going to be hosting a Facebook Live session that you'll be able to plug into and
Ask questions.
Ask questions. And for those who can see this on the chat bar, it's Thursday, May 3rd at 4 p.m. And if you go, you can join that Facebook Live conversation through the Facebook group page. So please connect with us and you'll be able to see us. And we'll be chatting with you. So I don't see any other questions. One thing I will say is that I like to think about On the Table as a sort of a Thanksgiving for community. When you are sitting around the table on Thanksgiving and you are reflecting upon the year, you're giving thanks, you're building stronger bonds with your family and friends, there's something quite special about knowing that there are other conversations like that happening in other homes across your community, across the country. And so On the Table really is that. It's an opportunity for us to get together, to reflect, to connect, to build those deeper relationships. And we hope that you'll take advantage of doing that. And it really is fun. So if this is your first On the Table or your fifth On the Table, you will always get something out of it. Have we had any feedback from hosts in prior years? What were the challenges they had? Around hosting? You know, I think people walk away really inspired by the conversations. I mean, that is the feedback that we've received from the survey, is that, you know, 2/3 of people walk away meeting someone new. They're more optimistic about what's happening in their community. And most people are inspired to take action as a result of On the Table. I think sometimes it can be hard to stay focused in such a short period of time, because when you bring a bunch of passionate people around the table, it can sometimes be hard to stay on task and to think about tangible outcomes. Will CCT send out a list of all the OTT sessions at some point and maybe help us get more people to attend our sessions? Great question. And what I will say is that is why we created the Facebook group. So this is an opportunity that you don't need to connect with us in order to get that information out. We want you to connect directly with one another. We want to create a platform so residents can connect to other residents, and you don't need to always connect to the Chicago Community Trust and hope that we'll push that back out. We want people to have that free and open dialogue on that Facebook account. And there are a number of open events that have been advertised on the Facebook group right now. So if you're looking for to attend an event that's being planned, check that out. It is a really, really cool and active community. So Carla, what has been the most memorable On the Table conversation you've attended?
Well, one of the first years we actually worked with Cook County Jails to have conversations in the jail. So that was actually an interesting conversation, because it's one that isn't widely known that actually they had participated. And it was the year one. They were on board. They fully wanted to have their people involved as well. And some great conversation came out of that. What about you?
I actually love attending On the Table conversations with young people. And so I've had a number of opportunities over the years to just be a good listener and hear about what concerns young people and what ideas that they have. And I think being part of those conversations has really inspired me and given me a lot of hope and good feelings about the strength of our community.
I think one thing too that people can think about is time of day for these as well. A lot of people think that these need to be during the lunch hour or, only with their colleagues at work. I think now in year 5, we have a lot of people who will do one in the morning with maybe, a workout group. They'll do one in the middle of the day with their colleagues, and then they'll go home at night and do one with family and friends or neighbors. So just think about, different times of day with different groups. It gives you more opportunity to connect with different people in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have another question up here. Is the Chicago Community Trust providing any funding for individuals to assist with the cost of food? Unfortunately, we do not have resources for meal stipends this year. We're shifting as many resources as we possibly can to that Acting Up Fund, because we do want people to be able to access resources to take action in their community. Building off what Carla said about thinking about when and how to have these conversations, don't look at the meal as a barrier or an obstacle. You could really honestly serve cookies and coffee, and it's really about sharing a moment as opposed to sharing a big 5-course meal. That is not the intention here. The idea is to connect with your fellow resident, to hear about what other community members care about, and that does not require a fancy meal. And I noticed a lot of groups in the past have even hosted potlucks. Mm-hmm. So that's been a way that folks have been able to do that. And some folks have just done really light snacks, you know, popcorn or things like that. I mean, I think when you're thinking about hosting an event at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something, you don't want to serve a big fancy meal or a heavy meal at that time.
Great question.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. You know, the notion of the mealtime conversation is really something that is as old as time. As we think about it, people have been gathering around the fire and sharing stories, connecting with one another and sharing a meal, breaking bread. It's symbolic in that regard, but it is not the only way to connect with others.
Anybody else have questions for us? Put kind of a last call for questions out there. I don't want to keep people hanging too long. We're all very busy planning our on the table conversations, hopefully.
Yes. If that nobody has any other questions, we'll end it here. We're going to make this available on our On the Table website. And of course, you know, feel free to join us during the Facebook chat if you've got more questions later this week. Arlene says, besides Facebook, where else can we advertise? You know, I've heard lots of creative ways that people have advertised. A colleague of mine last year wanted to host a conversation in the South Loop. She put up flyers in her building.
Yep. And churches, a lot of folks will put up, like, you know, they have the free bulletins, and a lot of people will see that. There's obviously a lot of traffic. So think about high traffic places in your community where they have free places to post a flyer.
You know, send an email to your network. You know, each and every one of us is connected to people. And then the other thing I would suggest is that you don't have to invite all 10 people. Why don't you invite 5 people and ask them to bring a friend? That's a great way to bring new people into the conversation. There's also opportunities to use Eventbrite as well, which is an online invitation.
Yep, and it's
platform.
free. Eventbrite is free to use as well. There's a question about the images, and those are on the website as well. There are some on the table logos available on the website.
And if there are no other questions, we'll end it here. If folks do want to send us an email and you know, send us a direct question about your event or other suggestions, please feel free in sending us an email at theontheTable@cct.org, or you feel free to call us at 866-737-6951. So email really is the best way, and we can respond to you. We can even schedule some time to talk with you one-on-one.
Or in the Facebook group, like we've mentioned, we're pretty quick to respond as well there. So if that's an easier resource for you to chat with us, go for it.
Yeah, I would highly recommend the Facebook group. is great because we have seen a lot of really great suggestions from the community, things that we hadn't thought of. So please do join. Thank you so much for all of your support, and we look forward to hearing what you talk about next week. All right, thank you. Goodbye.